What's going on, party people? Chillin? Hope everybody's doing good today. I'll let everybody... excuse me. Too many dabs today. I'll let everybody join the chat and stuff, get caught up. Let me update the stream info. Creative? No, it's called art. Just art. Cool. Content classification. Drug use. Maybe one night. Interesting. Cool. Alright. Let people know this was a rerun. It's not. Cool. So. That's new. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Shit. I got a new 4K monitor. And it also means that I have to resize my desktop view because it's so big. Cool. 4K. I'll also move myself on this view because, as we've seen with Blender, stuff gets lost. And it's less important on that side or something, right? Something. Kind of put it there, maybe. Cool. Alright. I have to increase the the resolution of Blender a little bit too now, because even for me it's a little small, so I can imagine for everybody else it's also a little small and stuff, but we'll get there. But yeah, if you saw on my stories like week ago, whenever this file was originally made, I was working on basically recreating a kind of like effect that I saw somebody else do in 3D, and I was like, how did they accomplish this? And it was basically some like extruded text on a curve, but it just looked really good. You know, it was like really good extruded text. And as you can see here, as I put this text and extrude it and just put it on a curve, we have issues with really poor topology from like whatever Blender's doing to just make the fonts, you know, because it's just literally going, and I guess I can show you the topology. It's just going and drawing like triangles across, you know, it's not actually creating a kind of like grid-like topology here. We have a couple of options, like we could literally go and probably delete the faces and then do kind of a grid fill, and maybe that would be something. But I basically chose the remesh route, which basically uses a voxel type technique to fill this kind of 3D object with like tiny little boxes, like Minecraft style, and just literally fill it all up. And then that allows me to get like a basically grid-like topology. I would enable it, but it would also blow my computer up right now probably, because it's very intense, this process. So I only leave it on for rendering, as you can kind of see with this viewport toggle here. But that allows me to basically, when you see this effect here, and you're seeing this kind of like tearing that's happening from the polygons being stretched and not having the kind of like support that they need, because you're literally taking one side of the thing and like bending it, and then taking the other side and bending it, and it doesn't have any polygons in between to bend, so you're just literally like just tweaking it. It's just, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So by applying the remesh, you smooth all that out. It's really nice. And you get some nice little like effects. I'll show you maybe the final render. But these moments where like the text kind of overlaps and stuff, I purposely set the word spacing smaller and stuff, so you'd get this kind of like overlap effect. And then when you apply the remesh to it, it kind of like merges all the text together into like one mesh. So it just kind of like filled in some of these edges and stuff, and it just made it look almost like you etch something out. Like it was nice. Subtractive almost. It was interesting. So that plus animated was really nice. And the animation's really simple. That's basically just me, I believe, animating the text itself. And when you animate the text and you literally just animate like one direction like I'm doing here, it translates onto the curve. And then I have the curve closed, so the curve will allow it to loop. So it basically just goes whoop and just keeps looping. That's good. And then the shape itself is a torus, like infinite style torus that I got from basically the extra objects that Blender offers here. So you can go to, I think, curve, mesh, curve profiles. One of these. I think it was one of these. And you just get this shape kind of for free. But my shape, like I mentioned, I had to make it complete. I think when they give it to you, it's like semi not complete and the ends aren't joined. So I actually had to go into the edit mode for the curve and actually join it together. I think maybe that's what the other one is. Maybe. No, that was just another one I was making. More wacky. But yeah, good stuff. This one was fun. Really easy, really quick. A little sketchy. And then this one, I don't think I've even posted it online anywhere. Was it 21? Decided to just mess around a little bit with some geometry nodes and the PSP UMDs. And as you can see here, this is just basically all the UMDs that I've created, like the 4 different variations, the Katamari, Loco-Roco, Mega Man Legends, all that, Daxter. And I basically have, one object here that's geometry nodes. And if I come back over here to geometry nodes, we can see that it's basically just a giant grid that does instances of these geometry or these UMDs spread out. I can change the order if I want, but that's not really important. But we take that, and then basically to rotate all of these at different like variations here, we take a noise texture, and that creates the kind of like variation that we get. I can kind of show you maybe an example. I think it was, if I duplicate this and bring it over, you can kind of see that it just randomizes stuff. Like it uses a noise texture. You can kind of see a semi-pattern forming, the way that like you'll see some of them like flicker out and stuff, almost wave-like in a way, but not, because it doesn't have like the logic that physics waves do. But yeah, you get the idea. So that was the start. And then to animate it, you can't really animate this. A noise texture, it doesn't have, I guess I can animate it like this. You can do the W if you wanted. But as you can see, it's really not changing much. It's very subtle. Very subtle. So in order to animate it a little more like easily, I took a wave texture, which has a phase offset, and that allows me to do things like looping. So basically the wave texture, it's kind of a guaranteed animation loop. And I basically go here and I set it to 2 pi. 2 times pi is like 6 point whatever. And that basically lets me do a perfect loop from whatever the start to the finish is. And then to kind of like make it a little more interesting, or I guess I was doing that. I was doing this also crazy math over here. No, it's simple. Simple. You just use the wave texture and it alters the noise, and it kind of like, you can see it. It kind of like takes almost like the gradient bars of the wave texture and it runs them across, and it just like flips stuff consistently. But yeah, easy little animation. Easy loop out of the box. Didn't even have to do like a weird like mix thing that you'd sometimes have to do with these. But it also, I think, it does have this weird effect. I don't like it. Maybe can you show the playback? Like you'll see that it does. Thank you for following and reminding me that I need to turn off my speakers. Appreciate it, Daphne. Um, but yeah, you can see here that it animates, and I think at the end, maybe you'll see it. Nah, I guess it doesn't do it in this version. I have a version of it where it was spinning kind of like backwards to where it was. I think it was this version. I think I have them here. Let's save this just in case. Yeah, here you go. Ah, there you go. This is the one I was kind of talking about. Yeah. So this was the original one without the noise texture. And this was me trying to just like mess around and see what I could do to basically take the initial state of the noise texture and then loop myself back to it. So this was like a really cheap and dirty way with the mix node here, where you can see I basically keep the mix node like 0, which tells it do whatever this thing is doing here. Hey, come here. So it's easier to see. Do whatever this is. And this, you can see it's also animated. And it's basically kind of like me taking the W of this and animating it or something. It's just animating the noise. So that's just happening, right? And then when we start getting near the end, I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Take it back and take whatever data that we had from the beginning and start to use that again. And it starts to basically tween it back to where it was. So that works, but I'll show you it play out in a second. It doesn't play smooth. I'm doing good, Daphne. I'm chilling. It's been a good week. It's been a stressful week, but it's been a good week. Had pizza last week, so I'm like refueled and ready to go. And made this, so I've been making like a little bit of art. So it's been good. How have you been doing? Chilling? What have you been watching? What have you been playing? Any new games? But yeah, you can see this doesn't play like good. Like it looks fine, and then wow, that last thing, it just like warps it right back. So not good. No bueno. Not a good animation. Ideally, there should be a way to take like the rotations that I had here and then use them here, but then use them at like a further point so that they match up better that way, so that they flip forward rather than flipping all the way backwards to where they started. But whatever, man. That's why we use the wave texture. But yeah, there was that. And that was kind of it. I haven't been doing that much creative stuff. It's been like a little light this week. I just have to dive in and like start like some new projects or something. Just haven't been in that like mode. I've been doing like more coding stuff, and that like takes so much time. I swear, man. But this is what I was working on recently. I did it on I think the last stream. We were basically working on a MIDI plugin to take a MIDI file that we assign here, so I can like load any MIDI file. In this case, I have like a Loco Roco thingy. Yeah, you can link up your recent work. What's up? I'm always down to see what people are working on. But yeah, MIDI file, it loads. You select like a track, because MIDIs have like a bunch of tracks. And ideally, it loads it into an animation. So if I just click this, should just work maybe? Yeah, cool. And you can see that it goes and it plays the Loco Roco song. Or at least like that one track from the Loco Roco song, because there's like 5 different instruments playing. But you get the idea. So you can see that we've gotten pretty far. Like I'm able to go load the MIDI file. I'm able to grab the tracks, figure out all the different tracks. We're able to assign objects, assign the keyframes to them. I think you can link here. If you gotta attach it. I have a Discord, but I don't have like a Discord for like this. You know what I'm saying? I've thought about starting one. But now I have a reason, yeah. It's a good one. I'll think about that. But I don't know, man. If you just post like anything, I'll look at it. Like, I don't know, DeviantArt, but not DeviantArt. Don't do that. I think they AI scan your stuff. Yeah, I'm on IG. You can DM me on IG. That'd be a good one. Yeah. I have a couple of homies that I chat them up like that. Like the people that constantly like the stories and stuff, and they're commenting and they're reacting to the stories. Try to stay engaged with those. And also have a few people who are trying to like get hired at Sony. So I try to keep up with those homies as well. So okay, always feel free to reach out. You never know. What's up? That's what am I looking for? This and this. Let's see if we can increase the interface. Yeah, for like 2 seconds. Oh my, oh. So much, but okay, is that better for the stream? Good to know that that's like a quick option. I'll have to figure out like a way to handle that more automated or something. MIDI, cool. So you can see this is the MIDI plugin here. Have it installed locally, and if I open up code, it opens up to that because that's what we were working on last. Also, let me open up IG to see what the homies art's like. What's up? Should be request, right? What's up, Daph? Accepted. Oh yeah. Cool. Set that up. Bow. Let's make this a little bigger too so you can actually read it right. When I'm not here on stream, I'm actually working with a magnifying glass. So small. Where was it? It was like that before? Savage. Yeah, this 4K monitor is insane. What's up? Dropping all the stuff. Are you into Neopets? Is that like a question I can ask? That's what's up, man. I'm assuming you work on like stream graphics and stuff. How can I show this like more effectively on stream? There you go. What's up? This is Daphne's artwork. Make sure, hit her up. What's your, there you go. I'm gonna post your handle in the chat real quick, just so anybody can follow you. Where is OBS? Got you. So cool. Yeah, make sure to follow Daphne on IG. But yeah, check out this art, dude. Takes me back some of the, like just that. Like whoever requested this piece, I can just see like the kind of person that they are. I'm digging it. Some really good effects here. Really nice stuff. It reminds me of the form signatures I used to work on back in the day, where you just like, it was all about branding, all about really good like effects and like stacking stuff. I can see just like lots of good layering. Good stuff. I think this one was the one that was giving me the Neopets vibes, I'll be honest. I don't know what client this was for. I'm sure it was for like something like this, but like mad Neopets vibes. It's good though, it's good. I like it. I like the detail work that you're getting on the egg and stuff. He's animated? Why, you do animated like emotes too, what's up? This one, can I show this somehow without like IG? Maybe. Yeah, I'm good. All right. These are really good. Shout out. Are these made with like After Effects or something? Like what's your process for some of this stuff? Do you use like other apps? I'm assuming After Effects, but I don't know. You might have some cooler stuff or like better apps, especially for like the rigging and like some of the stuff going on there. Let me full screen it. There you go. With audio, I like it. I like it. The portal. Cool. Oh. Got a full screen. Cool. I like this one a lot. This one's taken. Good branding work. If I had to review it, I don't know. It's good. It's like, I'm sure this is like everything like the people wanted. You're like nailing it, like going overboard with like the animations and like a lot of the effects too. When I say overboard, I mean it in a good way. Like it's like you're giving them like value for the buck, like some glows, some like smoke, laser work. It's all good stuff. Let's give them a little Kratos too, for sure. Gotta represent some Sony. Very cute, very cool stuff. Shout out. If anybody needs what do you call it, stream graphics, now you know who to go to. But yeah, like I said, you can tell me what apps you use and stuff. That'd be cool. Anything like that. But we were working on the MIDI thing. And like I showed earlier, it's working. But like that Loco Roco song, it's like a minute long or something. And I'm jamming it inside of like all 250 of these frames. So like if that's 24 frames per second, that's 10 seconds or something. That's nothing. That's like me, like you can see it when it runs. I'm running the song at like super fast speed. So that doesn't make sense. So ideally, we want to be able to undo all the work. Cool. Yeah, cool. We're fresh. And then I can kind of walk you through what's happening some here. I did like a walkthrough, I think, last time of kind of like what this plugin kind of does, but it's basically like, let me pull you down here. These are all the properties. You can see that this is the MIDI file. These are the selected tracks. This is the different objects that the person assigns to be animated and stuff. So all that's there. And that's set up all Blender style. And then we have the actual panel that draws the UI. So that's also Blender stuff. Nothing fancy. Just drawing buttons and stuff. But the button that I click here that's generate keyframes, that's this function here. So this function is where the magic happens. It's a lot of the stuff. So I basically go through and I read the MIDI file. I check if it's a MIDI file first because you never know. Somebody's just throwing me a JPEG. I don't know what to do with that. But we have a MIDI file. We import the MIDI. And we do some setup here. This is all just setup of like the time. The time with a MIDI file, it's actually like delta time. So as you go through the MIDI file, it increments, and I'm literally having to keep a variable myself that's keeping track of what time's passing, and then as I'm looping through, I add to it. You'll see that later. And then I just grab like some stuff from like the Blender context where I need to know what keyframe they're starting at, what keyframe they're ending at, and then doing some math to figure out how many total keyframes we're working with. Figuring out what the FPS of the scene is so we can know like how many frames per second are happening so that we know how to correlate a frame to a second and then correlate that to the music somehow. And then, yeah, we loop through all the tracks here. I basically have to upfront kind of figure out the total time. Don't necessarily have to do this, I think, but it's the only way to figure it out if I needed it. Like, you literally have to loop through the entire music track and just, like, add it all up to figure out the total. But, yeah, kind of silly. Maybe there's a property I'm missing or something on the file. We'll find out. But I basically loop over all the notes inside of whatever the track the person selected, and we figure out if the note was pressed or the note was released based off of the message type that gets sent. You can see here, note on, note off, kind of like press release. and do like a bit of math here to figure out what note it actually is. That's like whatever, I did that last time. You can just check out that stream. But the stuff that I didn't show was this time incrementing here. Like I mentioned before, we take the time from the note and we just increment it onto what we're tracking here. So that's what's happening there. And then we come down here and we can actually set some keyframes. So I've talked about this concept before, but like when you're animating like presses of stuff, like pressing on a keyboard or pressing like buttons on a gamepad, the keyframes have to be like start like on the bottom, up, one there, and then one down. So you have like 3 total keyframes for the movement. You know, you have one initial, one up, and then one to bring it back down. So that's 3 keyframes per like each press. So that's kind of what's happening here. I basically create a keyframe that's, I get the object first. So that's what I keep highlighting here. And then I create a keyframe that's the initial keyframe, and that's like the down. And then when we need to move the object, I move it, and then I create the keyframe of it like up. And then when we need to move it back down, I move it back down in the next keyframe or something. So those are like the 3 kind of keyframes. That's why I'm creating like multiple per note, basically. Because if I didn't, it would basically be like, you know, this note was pressed, this note was not pressed, this note was pressed, and then it would like tween in between them and stuff, and it'd be wacky. But yeah, that's happening. But as you saw, it works, but the timing's wrong. And what I'm currently doing to determine the time is taking the frames and figuring out like what % time I'm at. And I do that by basically taking the total time of the song, taking the current time that we're currently at, and figuring out what like percentage I'm at in the song. So am I 10% in? Am I 20% in? Something like that. And then we determine that with the total amount of frames that we have in our scene, and that lets us basically lay the frames or the keyframes down corresponding to the right time placement based off of how many frames we have. So that works if I set my thing up and I know how many keyframes I need for the exact amount of time. But that's usually not the case. And obviously it warps the music itself, so you don't want to do that. So ideally you want this time to be based off of actual time. You know, like what is the value of 1 second? So in music, normally you would do this with the concept of BPMs. You know, like what is my beats per minute? And then that is like how many notes are getting pressed per minute, which lets you know how many notes get pressed per second, technically, because, yeah, math. So normally that's what you would do. You know, I have a BPM of 60. I get 60 notes per minute. That means I'm getting 1 note per second. Cool. That's I could work with that or something. But apparently the way the MIDI files work, they don't do that. So let's check out this real quick and boost it up for the homies. I think that's good. But this is basically what I was conveying just now. We have BPM, 4 beats per minute or 60 BPM or whatever, BPM. That's how music's normally done. But MIDI apparently is done with ticks, which is, I don't know. We're just starting to get into, I'm sure, like computer math here where like it's easier for them to keep track of like things in microseconds or something because I don't even know. I don't even know what the reason is. I'd be curious to see what the reason is behind all this. Seeing this kind of stuff, it really gets me interested in seeing like how it is to like make iTunes like app or something, or Spotify or some shit. Because like just dealing with a MIDI file and just playing a MIDI file correctly at a low level is really interesting. Like I'm sure Spotify and stuff, they use the web audio APIs and stuff to play back their stuff, so they don't have to deal with this on a super low level maybe. But like if I were writing some native applications for Spotify or some shit, oh yeah, you'd be dealing with this stuff. But yeah, so basically reading this documentation the other day, I was kind of discerning that every MIDI file comes with a property you can see here called ticks per beat. And that is, I'm assuming, the BPM in a MIDI like term. So we'll use this like ticks per beat with this function down here called tick to second. And this will actually help us convert the current tick to time in seconds, which should be, I think, even a floating number maybe or something. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah. So ideally, if we come back over here, this is our MIDI file, right? So if I come to our MIDI file and I say print, yeah, mid, and then we're looking for this ticks per beat. And let's just see what that looks like per Bert. And is there any other noise going on? I'm okay with this. Maybe not. Yeah, let's just pull stuff out for now. Just to like clean up the logs. Cool. So if we come back over here and I don't know if I have it open. I don't. You enable and you disable it to just reload it. There's like other ways to do it, but I'm lazy. And then you want to open up the log so you can actually see what's going on. How do you increase the size of this? It was, yeah, there you go. How's that? Better? And then if I hit generate keyframes now, we can see that the ticks per beat is 120. I can jive with that. So let's undo that to make sure that the keyframes aren't saved. Cool. And then let's come back over here now that we have ticks per beat. And let's try to use it in our function that they gave us. And you can see here that I already started to import it from the library. So if I come back down, this is the time. So if I say like real time, right? And we say tick to second and we pass it, what's the API? The tick, ticks per beat, and a tempo. So the tick is time, that's the ticks per beat, and then the tempo is apparently this. And I think the tempo, yeah, like it changes with messages that get sent in the song. So we'll assume that for now that we'll just keep like a default of this, but we'll maybe code in some stuff later to like change the tempo and stuff. But for now, default tempo. My favorite kind of stuff. And let's come up here and let's define it as a constant. And let's drop that down. Perfect. So now if we come back down to where we were defining the time. Oh, you can see I was already trying to do it. Me leaving notes for later. So let's print this out and see what we get. That should just work. So let's reload the plugin. Boop, boop. Let's make sure, is the thingy open? Yeah. Money. Kinda. Is the song really 54 seconds long? Whoa. Whoa, we went so far. But yeah. 54 seconds, right? So if I come now, that sounds about right for the Loco Roco MIDI song. Coco Sentai. I'm looking for my download, MIDI files, and Loco Roco. Menu. Can I open this in VLC? MIDI codec not set up. So the song looks like it is about 1 minute and 11 seconds long, but I am taking the first track, right? So if I were to take all these tracks and remove them and only show the first track, we can actually see that the notes end at 1 minute 7 seconds instead of the end. Interesting. That's still not 54. Like, that would be 67. So that's interesting how we're having still a discrepancy here. I wonder what is wrong. Maybe the tempo is wrong. That's probably what's happening. Like if we were to log out any messages that were messages, maybe that would do it. So let's do that real quick. So let's loop over and let's do for each message in this MIDI track. We can just basically copy and paste this. Let's not work hard. And let's say print out the message type. If meta. Is not, no, let's do this. Let's do that. And let's say, as long as it just isn't a note, I want to hear about it. Yeah. Message type. No. Is no. Bam. And then this would go here. And let's just do the message itself. Cool. And we can pause that kind of like logging for now. Let's just figure out what's going on. Let's get a sense of like what's happening. Uh-oh. I think I wrote some code that broke it. Let's close. Reopen. Sometimes I don't break it. Sometimes I will blame Blender. And it just doesn't like my code again for some reason. Or it just doesn't hot reload the right way. Better. And then add-ons MIDI, cool. And then if we come over here and open the log, let's see if we can get an idea of what messages are going on. So these are the drums. It's interesting that you can get the track name from the track. Because right now what I'm doing for the selected track dropdown is basically I have a callback that Blender calls, and it literally has to load the file, load all the tracks or whatever. Not load them all, but just loading the file, grabbing all the tracks and like listing them and stuff. And you can see that I just enumerate them, but it doesn't actually give you any context of like what the track is. So it's interesting to see that there's like track names and stuff that I could tap into. But I'm not seeing anything here. Like, sorry, let me zoom in for everybody here. But I'm not seeing like anything that is a beat shift or whatever they were saying, right? What was it? Did they mention it? God, I hate these docs. They're so good, but they're so bad because like my ADHD ass will like look at this and I just lose myself. I need like one example or two like tucked in between these things to like place me, because I just have to reread everything every single time. It's like so counterproductive. Maybe more highlighted things would help or something. Yeah, you can see here. This is what I was looking for. God damn. The set tempo and time signature can be used to change the tempo, right? So we don't have a set tempo or time signature here. So there should be no delay. Let's enable this again. And let me print out the MIDI file real quick and just see if there's like a property that I'm like missing on it that like we're not seeing here. And we'll leave this for debug purposes here. Let's label this as check for meta messages. And cool, let me track the time. Cool, so let me reset the plugin. It's gonna be angry with me one more time. Be like that. Let me just close this stuff, see if it helps. It's like accessing the same file Audacity's accessing or something. Complain to me. Cool. And like I said, we come over cha. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Zoom in. And generate keyframes. Cool. Interesting. So like the MIDI file here, it's showing me like every single track, every single note inside every track. I'm probably not going to see at the beginning. Oh, I'm so lucky. Thank God. All right. Cool. Yeah, so we get ticks per beat, tracks, tempo. There you go. I'm assuming that one of the things that I do is when I'm looking for tracks, I say if there's no notes in the track, I don't use it. So clearly, some of the tracks are used for like just pure metadata across like all the other tracks. Because I guess you wouldn't want to duplicate this kind of like code or something. Like rather than set this every single time, you can set it in one place. Makes sense. But me as a person who's writing a plugin over here, it's making things very interesting. Like basically, can I assume that every track is going to have this in the beginning? Like let's load like a different track. This is the Local Roco menu title theme, whatever, right? So let's pick like this other random song that I got from Final Fantasy. And let's generate keyframes. And I think it broke. Blender. Maybe. Oop. Oop. Yeah, I think it's broken because nothing's happening. Let's reload it real quick again. Definitely have to figure out what's breaking it. That'd be a priority, right? Right. What's up? Local Roco demo, Local Roco menu. So that's what we're working with. That worked. Let's not pick the song that broke things, and let's pick the Zelda title, because I think that one worked before. Cool. Generate keyframes. It does its magic. This is apparently a minute long. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, it's clearly going to be a thing where like the first track in all these MIDI files is going to have the tempo. It's interesting. So I'll keep that in mind. Because if I take all this, right, and we copy it and we bring it over here, and we say set tempo, how many times does that actually happen? No, this never happens again. And it allegedly does happen. But this is the one major time that I'm caring about it. So if that's the case, let's come back over here, and we're setting things up for the track, right? And we're even doing stuff like we're looping over the track, and we're getting the total time. So let's figure out total time and the thing. Yeah. Let's get ourselves the tempo from the first track. So now let's head over to this basically. And we'll say that let's just make assumptions, hard assumptions, and we'll see like how far it takes us. See if it breaks at any point. And then what was it? Maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of that file that I had open. It's a meta message with the message type of set tempo. So that means I'm looking for if message is meta and if and message type equals set tempo. And then from here, it's like I said before, we set the tempo to the default tempo. But then we do the tempo here and we say message something. I don't even know what it's going to show me. So let's print it out. Let's hide this so that we don't overload stuff. And let's also hide that so I don't overload stuff again. Reload. What's up? Not reloading. Wants to freeze again. Be like that. I got all day. I don't got all day, but I got time. I'll fuss. Cool. So we're back. Generate those keyframes. We have the message. It's set as tempo. Duh. Okay. Oh man, that's like, it's hard, man. Like, I like APIs that are like super consistent and stuff, and then like I've been dealing with this like MIDI API, and they have this whole thing where they're like meta message, and a meta message can be like 50 different messages, and they all have different like signatures, but they all have very similar signatures because they all have to have a type, but then all the other properties are basically like go ham. I guess they all share a time maybe, but like, yeah, that makes it really difficult. Like if they just would have picked like data or value or something generic, it would have just been so much easier than having to like figure out what was going on every time. But I guess that helps me figure out what I'm working with, but then it could just be a unique type. I don't know. Python just needs better autocomplete, and I probably need to set it up somehow. Because man, like what's going on here? So, like I said, tempo. That easy apparently. Who would know? Who would even know? But we take that tempo and we use it there. So now if we take the time and let's load up the, we have the local Roca menu music, perfect. We have the console thingy open, perfect. Let's load that one more time. Let's reload our plugin. I'll do it slower this time. No, slower doesn't help. Doesn't matter. Something about that makes it angry. It's okay. Fresh start. Takes 2 seconds. Generate those keyframes. Shablam. Now we're cooking. So as you heard me earlier, I was like, what number was I looking for? I need like a 67. So we're within that range now. This like makes more sense. So this is good. So we can use this. Interesting that it starts at like 2 seconds. That's interesting. Is that the MIDI font? Man, I'm just gonna have to keep Audacity open. Bam. And then like I said, disable all these things. Can I scale Audacity's interface? No. Not that fancy. I feel you. Interfaces are hard. Especially when you're working with data like this. That's like 7 seconds in. But the music, this starts like right here. Maybe. Oh, okay. So we're technically using track 2. Right? Maybe. That would make sense. And that would make sense. Like I have the 69 number. That's like 69. But this doesn't make sense here because it's starting at like 7 seconds, 6 seconds. And it says it starts at like 2.5. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. Yeah, they all start at like 7 seconds. Which makes sense. I'm sure it's musically something's happening there. But which one am I working with that's starting at 2 seconds? Is it this one? This looks about right. 2 seconds? Like 2.5? And a 69? Maybe this is it. Whatever. Let me check what the blender thingy. Yeah, track 1. Should not have pressed that again. But cool. All right. So we know the time's working a little bit. I'll assume that's right. I don't know. If it's not right, we'll fix it later, but we got some time. So that's the current time as it stands. So we have to figure out what that means in terms of like a keyframe. So we have frames per second and stuff, right? Like I have total frames and we have frames per second. So if I divide by total... No, I don't need that. I don't need that because I have frames per second, right? So if I just have frames per second, how do you... Like if I say something's at 1 second, does that mean it's at the 24th frame? Right? Or it lasts 24 frames. Math. But yeah. So it would be every 24th. So if I divide the real time, let's do a little test. Sorry about that. Let's do a little like pencil test or whatever they're called. Google calculator or something. So let's say we're at like 2 seconds and we divide that by 24. Does that give me what I want? That's not what I want. Because I'm trying to determine, I want the bottom thing to be 1 frame. And by dividing it by 24, I'm now saying it's not that. So I would need 24 divided by that. Is that the reset button? Is that 24 divided by 2? That's not right because then it just gets exponentially wrong. So it has to be the other way. Or what is it? So if we have like, let's say 10 seconds and divide that by 24. That's not what we're looking for because it's telling me frames per second. So it's technically, it would be 1 times 24. Yeah. And then 2 times 24. Cool. That makes more sense. So now we can say real keyframe is equal to the real time times the FPS. And we can replace that here. I think that's it. Let's do just a fresh open of this file. Because I don't even want it to freeze on me after I didn't do anything. That would make me extra angry. Blender. Cool. We're cooking. Are you ready? Let's generate these keyframes. We come over here. And that should be more to the music. Cool. I think I can test this by going and doing... Does Blender support MIDI files? We'll find out. How do you add music? Is that like a thing? Am I doing something wrong?
Hey, what's up? It's
Shablam. It's in the sequencer. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, come on. Here we go. So now if I take the MIDI file, we drag it in here, we zero it out. That's not the MIDI file at all. What? Do I have to do that? Do I have to manually pull it out or something? What? Okay, can I leave that and move it now? No? Okay. I'm not hearing anything either. Am I supposed to be hearing something? You go, you drag it. Take it down. Display waveform even. How do I... Time. That's fine. Crop. Video. No. Does it even know what it's working with? What does his UI look like? Does not look like that for me. I don't think Blender supports MIDI files, guys. I don't think it works. And God, I hate Google AI. I hate it. But good to know that there's apparently a plugin that does this. Cool. What the fuck? It's an official plugin. What? Get the fuck out of here. No way. No, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Fucking some shit. Okay. I don't think Blender supports MIDI files. I will say it again. That sucks. But that's okay. We work. Shout out to freeconvert.com for converting my shit. Cool. So now I have an MP3. Let's bring the MP3 in. Yeah, that's so much better. Like, it actually works. Oh my god. Actually detecting it as a sound file. Insane. Dank. You ready for this, fam? Sorry if that's a little loud, but yeah, man. We did it. It's synced up. I think I should set the end to like 1,000 or something. Oh, did I just save over this file? God damn it. Think fast, think fast. Save it as a variation, right? And then undo, 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 undo. Undo everything. Maybe come back over here. There are no keyframes selected, right? Yeah, cool. And then we go back. We override the other file that I overrided. We're good. But yeah. I can watch this all day. Even has the little like flicker, man. That's pretty hot. I like that because that's like a drum. It has to like tap really quick. Oh, excuse me. That's pretty sick. I'm happy with that. Would you guys use that as a plugin? Would you pay for it? Because I'll give it out for free. I don't really care. So I'm not gonna fix it when it breaks. But yeah, man, if you do music stuff, you let me know if you're interested in this kind of thing. I'll send. Just go look at GitHub, take my source code, whatever. But yeah, this is really cool. So ideally, you're seeing the drums playing right now because I'm playing like that particular track. So if I were to go and take all these, I wish there was a way. Is there a way to do it? Yeah, you come down here, right, and you just delete them. It deletes them across all of them, right? Dank. So let's change the track, and let's change it to like track 2. And generate the keyframes. And cool, we have more animation. So now let's start it up again. Seems right. And then I'm limiting it to like one band of like notes instead of allowing it to go across the entire range of the keyboard. So we're probably seeing a lower octave right now playing. But interesting. It's also interesting to see that like there are notes that play before the song plays that don't actually play. I wonder what that preamble kind of is. If there's like a meta MIDI music message that's like not letting me what do you call it, change the tempo or something. But yeah, that was like a successful stream. What's up? MIDI app done, kinda. I don't know. So the next step basically is to take this like plugin and all this like kind of logic that I got going on here. Maybe clean it up a little bit because I'm seeing some places, like I said, like I can add maybe the instruments to the selected track so you can kind of understand like what you're working with there, and maybe keep track of like tempo changes or something. Test it with a couple different files. Maybe figure out why it's crashing like when I generate keyframes between keyframes or something. Maybe I'm not like dumping some sort of like memory of like the MIDI file or something, and I should like be destroying it or some shit. I don't know. From for FTC, is that like the thing? Is that what the kids say now? First time chat. From the Sasa Hero. Yeah, because you have 2 X's on either side, so it's like XX. Are you a game dev or are you a level lower? What does that mean? What's a level lower than game dev? Is that like software engineer? Because it kind of is, I'll be honest. I am a game dev, I guess. I don't know. If you consider somebody a game dev who works on games, personal or professional, yes, I'm a game dev. What is it? I just installed Godot the other day. Godot. And I was doing some of the like basic little tutorials with it. But I'm more of an Unreal guy. I'll be honest. Or like Bevy, or like maybe my own custom engine with like OpenGL or like Vulkan or something, or DirectX. Uh, but yeah, kind of a game dev. But yeah, like I said, next step with this project. Ideally, I take these MIDI thingies, assign, instead of doing a keyboard, because this is cool, keyboard, I'll do more keyboard stuff. I actually have to model like a whole keyboard at some point or some shit. But I actually want to do something where I take like the PSP UMDs and we take the Loco Roco game and I create like a kind of like visualization or something of it, like maybe laid out in a line or stacked like CDs inside of like a CD rack or something, and then like they pop out as the music plays, something. We'll figure it out. Maybe a Loco Roco, I model one and it bounces on the letters and it knows to bounce between the letters based off of what note's being played. We can do some cool stuff with this. So yeah, I'm excited. Definitely check it out. I'll probably post the source code at some point. I think it's up. I don't know. Let's see. It's up. Go look. It's not the most up to date, probably. I gotta get push some stuff or something. Yeah, it's not up to date. Now it's up to date, but not really. To like yesterday. I still gotta commit what we just did. But yeah, if you want to check it out, go check it out. It's at my GitHub at Blender MIDI Keyframes. And there you can find out my other Blender plugins too, like my Blender Gamepad one and stuff like that. Check it out. But thank you for joining me today, party people. Appreciate people tuning in. Appreciate seeing Daphne's art. Make sure to go check her out and follow her on IG at Daphne Williams 960 and check her out for some stream stuff. And what's up, Sasahiro? You got a question? Yeah, what's up? Before I go, I'll answer it. What's the best language right now for scary games that depend on sound, like listening to the mic of other players? I mean, any coding language would work. I mean, you could do that with JavaScript. I could probably get like the mics of like other people. It'd be a little difficult to like get the mics of somebody else because then I'd have to like transmit the mics via JavaScript to a server, probably via some RPC WebSocket sort of connection or something that's like more instantaneous, and then take that data and pass it to other people. So that already with JavaScript, you're getting that kind of layers of like separation of the client and the server and stuff like that. But with like C++ and stuff, when you're working client side, might be a little easier or something because there's a lot of different like libraries that are like built out for C++. Like right now, the MIDI library that I'm using, I believe, is like a port of something from C++ because that's just where you go. And whenever I'm doing my Rust game development, most of that stuff is basically a wrapper around C++. So as long as you're doing maybe something inside of Unreal, maybe you'll have an easier time. But I can't really speak to the multiplayer facet of it because that one at that point, that one will depend on what framework you're using for like the multiplayer. Because it's like I said, like once you want to listen to the mics of like other people and stuff like that, and like use that data for like doing stuff inside of the game, that's gonna be some interesting encoding from whatever server you're doing. Like whatever the server is talking between all the different players and stuff. But yeah, you can do it on anything. I don't know. It's going to be work. But JavaScript, C++, probably your easiest to go to because those will be the ones that'll be like the easiest. Kind of. JavaScript, not so easy. C++, a little easier. But then it's not easy because it's C++. Yeah. And if you were happening to build a game in Python, you probably could. I don't know. I wouldn't. Anything but Python. Cool. I literally, yeah, like you could do C#. C# would be another option. Like I'm sure Unity maybe has some like good stuff and support for that. But I'm not a huge fan of like the C# ecosystem because at that point you're just at the mercy of like, I don't know, whatever the dependencies are there. I'm not sure if they're that good or not. But yeah. Feel free to pop by anytime with questions like that. I love questions like that. Give me some technical technical game dev stuff to crunch on. That's kind of what I do at work all day. People just throw projects at me, and then I have to like be like, this is how I would do it, and this is the best way to do it. But then here's 5 other ways you could do it that do it in different ways or something. So, yeah. Shout out. But I gotta go. I gotta make some dinner, do some stuff. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll be back mañana, and hopefully, oh, what's up? Thanks for following. Hopefully, we'll have some games tomorrow. I just bought a new splitter, so the 4K capture card that was no longer working with my monitor, but no longer now works because of my little switcher. Like, if you want to check out that complaint cycle, you can check out my threads. But we got some stuff. Maybe we'll be playing some Switch games tomorrow. It'll be good. But yeah, take it easy, everybody.